As a lifelong sci-fi enthusiast, I've always been fascinated by the ability of ascent to transport you back in time. Given the option, I'd still prefer a DeLorean with a Mr. Fusion, which can be directed to the exact date and time I'd like to visit or revisit, but until then, the i8 Roadster in good weather is a decent stand-in. There are more than a few similarities. Both are wedge-shaped exotics with mid-mounted gasoline engines. Each sports a pair of signature top-hinged doors giving way to seating for two. Just as the DeLorean gained more features and got greener as the sequels progressed, going so far as to switch from dirty plutonium fuel to literally recycled garbage, so too has this updated i8 improved. It may not fly yet, but it flies down a country road better than ever. To get there, BMW did more than cut the roof off, though that's literally how the first prototype was made. Improvements in battery technology over the past few years have led to a larger battery with more powerful cells, giving both the Roadster and Coupe more power and greater EV range and hybrid fuel economy. Battery capacity jumps from 7.1 kWh to 11.6 kWh, extending range from 20 miles to 33 per BMW's testing on the generous new European driving cycle standard. For context, the EPA rated the 2017 i8 for up to 15 miles of all-electric range. All-electric driving now has a top speed of 65 miles per hour in drive, up from 43 miles per hour, and 75 miles per hour in e-drive mode. With the extra available power, the electric motor at the front axle generates an extra 12 horsepower for a total of 143. Torque holds at 184 pounds-to-foot at the rear. The turbocharged inline-three has found an extra 3 horsepower and no extra torque, but a particulate filter cuts exhaust emissions. The 8 horsepower electric motor, generator connected by belt to the gasoline engine, is unchanged. Total system output climbs to 374 horsepower from 357. BMW wildly underestimates 0 to 60 miles per hour at 4.6 seconds. The pre-refresh i8 Coupe we tested did it in 3.8 seconds with less power and only 130 fewer pounds to pull. The most impressive aspect of the i8 continues to be how it blends power when the gasoline engine fires up. You hear it rather than feel it, as despite the two powertrains not being mechanically connected, they work in perfect harmony, and you mostly hear it because BMW employs electronic sound enhancers in the cabin to boost the pleasant growl from the intake. Once engaged, the gasoline engine doesn't change the character of the car. It simply makes it quicker. It's not eye-bulging supercar power, just an appropriate amount for the chassis and tires. It's every bit as quick as it needs to be, so you can use all of it whenever the mood strikes. Just as you don't feel the gas engine integrate into the power delivery, you don't feel either the front 2-speed or rear 6-speed automatic change gears. Only by coming off the throttle and going quickly back on in the middle of a shift did I get a stiff-legged response from the rear transmission, and only once. The real limitation of the handling and braking components, though, remains the tires. BMW has done a commendable job of balancing handling performance and low friction efficiency in its tire choice, but it remains a difficult compromise. Most of the time, you won't notice it. On the day you really want to drive it like a sports car, though, you'll need to be cognizant of the tires, brake a little earlier, and brake in a straight line. Trail braking invites understeer. The tires have a lot of grip in them, but you can and will ask too much of them if you drive it like an M4. You'll also want to make liberal use of the DSC Sport function. In its default mode, the traction and stability control system is conservative and won't give you much if any power when the steering wheel isn't centered. If you want to leave corners aggressively, you need to switch it to Sport. You are left with plenty of don't bend a safety net but are allowed to get on the throttle with some gusto exiting the corner, enough to make the inside rear wheel slip a bit. When the red mist isn't clouding your mind, you'll find driving quickly in an i8 a special experience. Roof open to let the sun and smells in and gas engine off to hear the world, you feel more connected to the scenery blurring by the windows. It's not just a drive in the hills. It's a drive with the hills. Getting the roof down requires slowing to under 31 miles per hour for all of 15 seconds, with the same time and speed requirements to put it back up. The switch is hidden under the center armrest, and the control for the roll-down rear window is next to the rear view mirror. By default, the rear window stops with an inch still exposed to act as a wind blocker, and it does a pretty good job of it. You can set it wherever you want, roof up or down. BMW has also added self-adjusting louvers to the hood vent to prevent hot air tumbling into the cabin when the roof's open. The Targa-like section of roof that comes off stores vertically where the vestigial rear seats would be in a coupe, taking up as little space as possible and leaving you with a storage slot behind the seats. Running the width of the interior, it's big enough to slide in a few items such as backpacks, briefcases, duffel bags, and maybe a small carry-on or two. Be glad for it, because the trunk is big enough for maybe 2 backpacks, and there is no frunk. Thanks for watching.